In this video, I'm going to go ahead and break down the how to grow a barber business in 11 steps. And these 11 steps are really designed no matter where you're located at, your cutting experience, whether you cut in a garage, a solo suite, a barber shop, or even a different city, different country. It doesn't really matter where. This is like tried and true principles on how to grow and scale a barber business. So that way your income doesn't do this like yo-yo effect. And as well as your bank account doesn't do like this yo-yo effect where sometimes it's high, then there's low points, but you never break past a certain level inside of that bank account. Now, for context, I've been running a company called New Era Barbering where we help barbers grow and scale. Jeez, there's going to be some errors in this thing, obviously, where we help barbers grow and scale their income to 20 and 30K per month. Barbers like Jericho Carrata, who cuts in Houston, Texas, who started with us when he was making 8K per month, and we scaled him to 20K per month in 12 months in Houston, Texas overall, as well as barbers like George Morales, who cuts in Chicago, who started around making 4K per month with us at 18 years old, and then in 12 months, we scaled him up to over 20K a month, getting 107 new clients booked, making well over 20K per month, as you can see right there, as well as barbers like Ty Nguyen, who we've helped grow and scale in Richmond, Virginia, in a barber shop to 24K per month, and then equally to 30K per month inside of his barber business, as well as hundreds of other barbers that you could check on our website, like Joel Thompson, who we scaled to $200 a cut, making 20K per month when he was stuck at 6K per month. And I say all that to say this. This video is going to be very lengthy, and as you can tell by the intro, it's not going to have crazy edits because I want this to be much more educational based because I think there's a lot of bullshit education in the barber industry today on how to grow and scale a barber business, because when we look and see the landscape of the barber industry, we see most OG barbers are struggling or just regurgitating bullshit that they heard at a barber show that keeps people stuck to only have to work harder to make more money. And in this 11 steps, this is really how to design how to really break past those plateaus, and what I've implemented with all these barbers that we've worked with over the last 5 years, really since 2020. And we've worked with over 1,400 barbers. And really the biggest thing I see is like this business aspect that's missing. So I say all that to say this. If you are someone who cannot sit for a while, I have about an hour until my next call that I have to take, so hopefully I can get this done then. If you cannot sit and listen to business advice that is practical, that has scaled barbers up to 20, 30K per month, I'm going to tell you this right now. Running and scaling a barber business is probably not the thing for you, and you should probably just go work for Uber. This is, again, too, for me, whenever I see videos that are much more just straight to the point, no edits, no bullshit, very raw and real, for me, that's typically where the best advice comes from, because it's unscripted and it comes, again, too, just from practice. So let's go and dive into the 11 practical business steps. Obviously, no peeking is involved in this because I want to cover up some of this shit. I will say as well, too, before we hop into this, as you see by number one's called define the goal. Some of these, when you read these or when I speak about them, you're going to be like, Daniel, that is so bullshit. I'm a little bit sad. Like, that's not what I want to hear. I want to hear some real business tactics. However, all of these are on here for a reason, because this is what I see majority of barbers struggling with. And more than likely, because if you have not been growing and scaling your barber business, it's because you're overlooking this fact. And even though you want all the tactics and cool social media stuff, you are missing core business principles. So number one is going to be on how to grow a barber business is, number one, define the goal. Now, when I say define the goal, I think what a lot of barbers have trouble with in defining a said goal is they are, let's say they're right here and they're making like, let's say 5K per month, right? I can't even draw 5. And they're like, a goal. I would love to be, let's say, booked out, right? That's not really a good goal because it's not a high goal to set. Because what does this mean when we say booked out? You can be booked out making 3K per month. You can be booked out making 20K per month. This being booked out thing is not what we should optimize off of a goal. Instead, what we should optimize off of a goal is numerical wise, how much income should we be making per month? Because based on that, we can see, number one, if we make progress towards goal, and number two, the goal should always be something that you can't do being who you are right now. Let's say, for instance, if your goal is to, let's say if you're 300 pounds overweight, right? And your goal is to become 299 pounds overweight, right? Nobody would, in their right mind, would be like, oh, that's a good goal to set. Because you're like, you could just simply do that being who you are right now, maybe eat one less hot Cheeto per fucking day. Not a good fucking goal. A goal should be something where you have to transform yourself and who you are in order to hit said goal, right? And so a better goal to make, if you're just talking about losing weight, and I'll tie this back to business, is get 175 pounds and 12% body fat. Because who you are right now is the 300-pound obese motherfucker who can't stop shoving hot Cheetos down your throat. The person who is like disciplined on their diet, who works out, who doesn't shove hot Cheetos down their mouth all fucking day long, is something you have to work on and improve on. And whenever we think about a goal, we should define the goal as big as possible. Right? And when I see barbers and when they're trying to make a goal, they don't think about this large or big aspect into it. They're just thinking like this term I hate, which is called realistic. What is real? And I hate this term because to me, what the fuck is realistic anymore when we have a guy named Elon fucking Musk who literally, quite literally, fucking lands rockets, shoots them up into space, and lands them back on Earth? I don't give a fuck what is realistic anymore. Anything and everything is possible. And it just matters about the time frame that we do it in. And so whatever, like realistic to me, I mean, I think it's realistic for a barber to make 50K per month. There just has to be metrics that are set up overall to allow us to hit that goal. And so when you come around to making and defining a goal, you should always, number one, think about, I need to make the goal something I can't achieve being who I am right now, meaning I have to change. That means there is growth involved. That means it's going to be a little bit difficult and hard. That means there is a chance of failure, right? But all the best things in life come from the chance of failure and becoming more than who you are right now. It should also kind of scare you. If you're not scared about your goal, and again, too, I know this is going to sound like very basic, but if you're not scared about your goal, then it's not a really good goal because you can achieve that being who you are right now. Now, the second part to defining the goal is defining the why. And to me, this is almost as important as defining a big goal because everyone and their mom wants to make more money. Like if you're watching this, for sure you fucking want to make more money. But why, right? Sure. Every person who's over 300 pounds overweight knows they should probably lose the weight, but majority of them don't because they don't have the why involved, right? If you tell me I take two people who are 300 pounds overweight, and again, too, remember, taking a different analogy, but you could apply this the same thing in business. You take two people that are 300 pounds overweight. One person has no why. There's like, it would be cool to, drop 175 pounds, be 12% body fat. The other person has a daughter that was just born, and the person was given 6 months to live. That person has a very big why as to why they should drop the weight because they need to fucking live to be able to support and see their daughter grow up. That why is a very big intrinsic value or intrinsic motivator to push you forward. Now, I will give an example of what I had as my why when I was a barber. My why was I don't want to be a fucking loser, right? And a has-been because, let me take this Zin out. Because one of my biggest fears, and like fear, pain is a big driving factor. And if you don't use fear and pain towards this, I don't know what you're fucking doing. But for me, in high school, right, I was kind of a cool person. I knew a lot of people, and I was kind of like cool at least in my thoughts, depending on who you ask. But my biggest fear was becoming a has-been, who after high school, they say, man, high school was the best years of my life. That scared the fuck out of me. That frightened the fuck out of me. And one day when I was cutting hair, I got a text message from an anonymous number that actually said, I remember this clearly, it said, Daniel Church, the biggest fucking loser that our high school ever produced. Something along those lines, right? It's like, you're the biggest fucking loser I've ever seen in my life. What happened in high school? You were all that, and now you're just a fucking dumbass barber. Can't do anything, won't amount to anything in your life. And that fired me up. I'm like, holy fuck. The thing I'm fearing, I'm kind of doing right now because I'm not pushing and scaling my business forward. And that fear, that pain, and that anger I felt to whoever fucking sent me that text message made me want to go ahead and say, I want to be something better. I want to push this business forward. And that was my why, to prove people wrong. And I think when a lot of people come up to their why, they first define a small goal and they come up with a bad why. The why should, should fire you up and should almost be like radioactive to where when you see fear, when you see like things get hard, it is like, I don't give a fuck about this shit anymore. I'm going to push this thing forward. Because for instance, if your why, and I'm not saying this is a bad why, but I'm saying it's a bad why if it doesn't give you that feeling. A bad why a lot of people will have, because I had the same why, was like, oh man, I want to make more money because I want to support my family. I want to support my loved ones. That sounds good. However, if that is your why and you are struggling to do whatever the fucking thing you're supposed to be doing, that is not your fucking why. That is your why that you want to tell everyone else that sounds fucking good. The why shouldn't sound fucking good. The why should be like, I'm trying to murder every mother. Probably shouldn't say this on fucking YouTube because you're probably going to demonetize. But I should absolutely kill everything and every business that is around me. I want to make sure everyone knows I am better than them. That is a great why. It doesn't sound good. The why should never sound good. Anything that sounds good is typically not the correct thing. It has to be a little bit pride and ego driven because we are all acting in our own best self-interest. And so for you, if your why to hit the goal is not something in your best self-interest to elevate you, you are not going to want to go through the hard work. And I see Barber struggling this all the time with this self-righteous bullshit. It is not a goal. A why is not to be, oh my God, I want to inspire people. Because if that's been your why for the last 5 fucking years and you haven't done a damn fucking thing, that is not your fucking why. It's just not. And when you start waking up to this thing like I had to realize I'm having this as my why and I want to grow and scale my business, yet I am not doing the things that are conducive and taking the actions that are conducive to growing the business. I'm in the same fucking spot. I need to switch up my why. And when I got what more people would call selfish around my goals, that is actually when I started growing the business forward because I got something in return. Because the whole point of business is to get something back. There is a reward. There is an incentive for pushing your business forward. There's an incentive for doing the hard work. And if you're not incentivized at your true core nature of the why, then you are not going to want to push the fucking business forward. There needs to be a fire, a drive, like this just like obsessive focus around it, right? And if you don't have that thing, if whatever your why is that you say, it does not give you that fucking thing, then you need to shift it as something different. It is like the why is like the gasoline on the fire, is the oxygen to the fire. Without the why, you will not push the business forward. And and again too, I told you like this thing right here, these first points might seem very basic, yet I see so many barbers getting this wrong of not defining a big goal because they're scared or nervous about fucking failure. Bullshit. And they have a why that sounds airy-fairy, like, oh, I just want to inspire everyone. No one's going to get inspired by you making fucking 5K a month being booked out. There's so many fucking of those barbers. Do something bigger. Do something that pushes things forward. Do something that's never been seen before. That should get you excited. When you think about like, oh man, but nobody in my town does charge $100, but nobody in my town makes 20K per month. That should get you be like, fuck yeah, that's exactly why I'm the motherfucker to do it. Right? Because why the fuck am I going to wait for somebody else to do it just to prove that it's possible? I'm not a fucking follower. I am a leader. I'm going to fucking push this thing forward and push this industry forward in my city, in my town. So, number one, getting hyped up already. It's going to be a doozy. Again, I got 44 minutes to get this thing done. Let's see how we can go. But that's number one. Define the goal, define the why. Without those two things, none of the rest of the 10 points are going to ever come to fruition. Now, once you have defined the goal, which the goal should be make fucking 15, 20, 30, whatever K per month, something that it seems impossible, but it requires you to change. The why should be because I want to fucking prove everyone wrong. I want to show everyone that I'm better than fucking them. I want to make sure every motherfucker that doubted me said simply I can piss on them because of how great I can be. And yes, it doesn't fucking sound good, right? But guess what? Do you really think Michael fucking Jordan, Tom fucking Brady, Kobe fucking Bryant ever had these fucking, oh my God, I just want to go ahead and be an inspiration? No, they had these fucking things that were just so downright dark and didn't sound correct, but that is why they want and push themselves forward. Same thing with Elon Musk or anybody else. They have these dark things that push themselves forward, these angers, these pains, and you have to be able to use that thing. Number two, no peakies, right? Number two, define the metrics that are required to hit the goal. So, for instance, if you know that your goal is like, let's say, make 20K per month as a barber, right? You should not just leave it right there and be like, okay, I know my goal and I know my why to prove people wrong. Prove wrong, right? We should not just stop here. Instead, what we need to be able to do is reverse engineer, what do I need to do in order to have this? Because you can, let's say, charge $20 a haircut, but you're never going to get to the metrics to make up 20K per month. It's going to become ridiculous. Like, let's go $20,000 per month divided by $20. That's 1,000 haircuts per month, right? I don't know who the fuck you think you are doing 1,000 haircuts per month. So we have to define the metrics. Typically for me at a 20K per month business, what really works really well is about $150 per haircut. Right? Meaning that allows us, let's say again too, that's about like 120 cuts per month, right? So if we do 150 and we multiply that by 120, we get about 18,000, right? So we're going to have additional, let's say 2 to 4K of tips plus secondary service if we're charging this much, because typically people at 150, they're going to be charging about, they're going to be tipping about 25 plus bucks on average. The higher the ticket you go, the more people will tip at the end of the day. Now that if you see this, you're like, oh man, I don't know if I can do that here. You better get out of your fucking little head again as well too, because again, I'm sorry, we're talking about charging 150 bucks compared to some fucking mortal man designed a team to land a rocket ship back on Earth. That is a bigger, more challenging problem to face that has never been done. There's plenty of barbers who charge 150 bucks in the world. Okay, maybe they haven't done it where you're at, but guess what? You have proof that it's possible in other places, and therefore, why would you limit yourself to it being impossible? Again, nothing's impossible when I can see that motherfucker Elon Musk landing rocket ships back on Earth. Tell me what the fuck is impossible, I'll tell you nothing on a longer stretch of time. So, once we figure that out, 150 bucks a haircut, that is about 120 cuts per month. That comes out to about 4 weeks of work. That comes out to, about 30 cuts per week. Let's say we're doing 5 days of work. That equals 6 cuts per day, right? So 6 cuts per day to make 20K plus per month. It's pretty fucking solid. So now we have identified the metrics that are required, right? Now what we need to do is be able to understand, let me get my fucking drag thing, define where you're at right now in relation to the goal and metrics, okay? So once we have the idea of the goal, we have the idea of the structure of what we need to be able to get to, right? Now we need to define, obviously, where are we currently at? So let's say, for instance, if you charge, let's say you charge 40 bucks and you make, let's say 5K per month, right? 5K. So now we understand where we're currently at. And you could obviously go into like how many new clients you're getting. You can obviously go how many total heads you're cutting per month overall, just to get a good sense of this thing, right? At 40 bucks, 55K per month, this is like an average barber business that I see inside of the industry. Now that we have this clearly identified of like, maybe you can even go into like how many days you worked as well too. After we get that, the next thing we want to do is reverse engineer what steps are required to hit the goal. So obviously, to hit 20K per month, one of the first steps we need to be able to do is charge 150 bucks for a haircut, because otherwise, like, we are not, like, doing 40 bucks a haircut is going to become ridiculous. Now, what we were not going to be doing and thinking is that because we're at 40 bucks, all of a sudden we're just going to hike this bad boy up to 150. That is almost insane and ridiculous that any barber would think that irrational on this topic. What you do is you go up, but you don't go up every 12 months by 5 or 10 bucks, okay? We have to look at metrics, and we have to understand how can we get from this business at 40 bucks a haircut to 150, because this is the main driving force right here, is our charging point. It's not going to be the amount of haircuts we can do. It's going to be charging point and new clients we can get, because the higher that we can charge, the less work we have to do to get to this goal. The more new clients that we get into the business as well too, the more it's like, you want to think about it like this. If we have a, let's say this is a cliff or a mountain, right? And let's say we start down here, and right down here is 40 bucks, and the top of the cliff is like, let's say 150. Okay? We're not just going to try and let's say we have like a rope, and this is how I like to think about it, right? Like if we have a rope, our goal is not to fucking throw this rope up here and try to latch onto the mountain and climb all the way up in one fell swoop. Our goal is to find markers along the way that are going to make it easy for us to throw this hoop up to try and get there. So we might try to look to see, can we go from 40 to like, let's say 55? Right? And then from 55, can we go to 75? And then from 75, can we go to 100? And then from 100, can we go to 125? And then to 150? And ideally, I want to do this in about 3 months. Ideally, if we are like, let's say, getting 50 to 100 new clients every single month, which is what a lot of our product clients are doing to grow and scale their business. Let's say, for instance, if we're at this level doing, let's say 150 cuts, right, at 40 bucks a haircut. When we go up to 55, let's say that drops to about, let's say like 120, right? So we lose like 30 clients overall, right? And if we're getting about still like 50 new clients in a month, it should take us about a month, maybe a month and a half to refill this business back up again to that 150 mark to be able to be ready to go back up again. However, we still always need to be keeping in mind, we need to be also having cash in bank. Right? And so we understand that it might take a little bit longer to save this up and get into good cash reserves in the bank. That way, when we go up, we're not stressed the fuck out about like bills and stuff like that, because we have a good war chest, because scaling requires us to keep more money, right? And so now once we understand the steps, like we need to be able to, number one, charge higher price points. So charge more. And then we also know we need to get some like new clients in the business, right? Those are really the two factors they're going to depending the driving force on getting this business up and going to that 20K per month level. So once we understand, reverse engineer what steps are required to hit the goal, obviously we got to get like some clients in overall. What is the next step? Define clearly what gaps you have in reaching the goal. Okay. I don't even remember what steps I had here. So the step number 5, define the steps overall. So obviously if our steps are to get new clients and charge more, well, we have to understand how do we get new clients in the business? Well, we can rely on word of mouth. We can take walk-ins. We could pass out cards. We could shake hands. We could, I don't know, referrals. We could do like pass out flyers. We could do, let's say, Google. We could do social media. Now, whenever we look at something like this, we want to think about what is the thing that is going to get us asymmetric returns for our work. What I mean by that is, what we don't want to have in anything that we do in business is we want to avoid a one-to-one relationship as much as possible. A one-to-one relationship means you do one action, you only get one thing back in return. For instance, if I do one haircut, I get back $40. Right? That's a pretty one-to-one relationship, at least right now. If I pass out one business card, I might get back one client. It might be like 1 out of every 4. So I'm really operating a 1 to 0.25, right? Which is below a one-to-one relationship, which is not good. If I do like, let's say, flyers, it might be the same thing, a 1 to a 0.25 relationship, where again, too, the more I have to do every single one I do, I only get a 0.25 incremental increase on a new client. What I want to see in like business is this thing called asymmetric warfare, asymmetric returns, where if I draw this out like this, we do a very small like input, right? And we get a very large output, okay? Meaning if I was to pass out one business card, I would get 50 new clients booked just from that one business card. That is kind of a relationships I want to be able to see inside of a business. Now, of course, we can't do that with business cards. Of course, let's say word of mouth. That's typically like 1-to-1. It's not going to be 1-to-many. Walk-ins, again, to 1-to-1. We're relying on the people coming into our shop. Passing out business cards, again, we already defined that as a 1 to 0.025. Shaking hands, probably same thing. Referrals, same thing. Fuck, I don't even remember what this. I see. Sometimes my handwriting's shit, but I don't know. We'll rock with this overall, right? I don't remember what this is, but like, let's say social media. Okay, social media to me is the only thing that we can make one single post and get 50 plus new clients in from that one post. Like it takes about 5-10 minutes of work to get a very large output in business, and depending on that, let's say if we charge $40, right? So if we charge 40. Times, let's say 50 new clients, that's already 8,005, is that correct? Ooh, hold on. Times 50, there we go. Okay, that's $2,000, right? So from one post that took me about 5 minutes, I can get upwards of 2K off that one post. I don't know what other like form of like marketing or anything else you can get that type of relationship, at least in a Barber business, to where you don't spend any money, you just take the least amount of time and can make 2K from that in the long run. That to me is like compounding interest. On top of that, you do multiple of these posts every single day. So you post one today, one tomorrow, and the next day, and all of these have potential to bring in about 50 plus new clients. Now we start seeing the business really uptick in our favor, right? And so once we understand, define the gaps that are clearly reaching the goal, it's like now we understand it's like marketing. Okay, so marketing is like going to be the biggest factor because new clients, without any new clients, you can't raise prices up. So that's where it's going to come back down to. Now, we have to understand what is our limitations or gaps in marketing. Do we know how to get 50 plus new clients inside the business? It's either a yes or no. If it's no, that's fine. If it's yes, then my question would be, why the fuck are we not doing that right now? Because if you knew how to do it, you would already be having the result. So more than likely, it's going to be a no. And so if it's a no, once we understand that, we can come to step 6, which is identify if anyone has solutions to these gaps. Because there's only 2 ways to solve a problem in business, right? You either solve it by paying someone to help you build the solution for it, or you pay with time, okay? Meaning like your trial and error of doing this thing on your own. Now, you're always paying for these 2 things no matter what in business, with money or with time. you're always going to pay with what you value the least. And if you're a smart business owner and a smart person and value your life, you're not going to pay with time, because time is the resource that we can never get back. To everyone who's a smart business owner, any CEO always pays with money, because this is an infinite resource that we can always allocate and generate more of for us as well too. And typically in any business, a smart business venture at least, right? If they spend money on how to find a solution, they know that money that's spent is going to make them double, if not triple, if not quadruple money back in return. So it's really not money lost, but money invested, which is better than, let's say, investing money in stocks, because stocks improve by what, like 5 or 6% or whatever it is over year, whereas like you get legit a 4x return in maybe the next 3 months. Like for us, our typical client right now, in the first 30 days, they get an average increase on their income by 2.2K, $2,200. Over the first 90 days, they get about a 5.8 increase on their monthly income, okay? So from day 0 to day 90, our average barber increased their income by 5.8K, which equals out to 69K, great fucking number, 69K added to their yearly income, okay? I don't know what else you could do over a 90-day period to increase your yearly income by 69K. Typically, this is what most barbers make in a year, and we add this additional on in the first 90 days when barbers work with us. And so you always want to look for relationships or solutions around that thing, right? So number 6 is identify if anyone has a solution. If they do have a solution, you should probably figure that out or start working with them overall at the end of the day if you actually are serious about growing the business. Number 7 is identify what costs more. Okay, we already kind of went through this. Identify what costs more. Obviously, if you identify somebody who has a solution, there's always money and there's always time. What costs more to you, or what do you think of the least of, the money or the time? Obviously, if it's time, you're gonna if you value time more than money, you're going to spend the money to get the solution. If you value money more than time, you are probably going to go ahead and spend more time, because you're going to be saving money on the thing, which doesn't make logical sense at the end of the day. Or you always pay for the thing what you value the least overall. Number 8, if you're getting help, or if you found someone to get help, then get the fucking help and start executing. Because by now, in your steps that we have right here, we have identified the goal, we have identified the why, we have identified where you're at right now in relation to getting the metrics. We reverse engineer what actually it takes in terms of price point, in terms of new clients in order to get there. We've identified, defined clearly the gaps that we have in reaching that goal, because we have no clue how to get those 50 new clients into our business every single month. And then we identified anyone who has the solutions. We identified what we value the least, either time and money. And so why the fuck would you be waiting to get the help if you know all this in clear front form? Because at the end of the day, the only thing you're delaying at this point in time is your results, and basically wasting your life. And for me, I'm someone who hates wasting time in life overall, because again, time is the only resource I do not get more of. It is a finite resource that we are all working against. So once you understand that, we go to number 9. If you are not getting help from someone, define a time frame in which you will get the help if you don't reach a certain target. Now, to me, trust me, I'm a little bit hard-headed sometimes, I get it, but typically I'm much better. So far, on myself, I don't know the exact number, but at least right now, I've spent well over 500K on my own income. I mean, on my own income, on my own education, right? And so this has provided me back lots of fucking growth inside of my business over the last few years. Now, what I would recommend is, even if, like, let's say for whatever instance you want to be a hardhead and you want to be like, oh, I'm going to figure this out, I'm going to take the time. The thing that I think gets a lot of people stuck up, when I see a lot of people getting stuck up in the education space, because spending over 500K in my own education, I've seen people who flourished and I've seen people who didn't do anything at all. And people who don't do anything at all make this one mistake, which is they will try to do things on their own, right? Will go on their own overall, right? But they will do it for an extended period of time without giving themselves a cutoff date of like, okay, if I don't get it by now, then I need to get the help. Because what they'll do is they'll just go year after year after year after year after year, just always saying, I'm going to get this time. Oh, maybe not, maybe this time. And it's like you keep on wasting time. And so if you are deciding on doing the time route instead of paying someone else money to get the solution, then you need to figure out, when is this stop? When is my time frame to get this result in and done? that I also could have gotten with the other person. And if I don't have it by then, I'm just going to go straight to that person overall. For me, I think 90 days, especially for like what we do with our barbers, we have proven that you can grow and scale a barber business adding 69K in the first 90 days of working with us. And so I think anything less than a 90-day time frame will be, or anything more than a 90-day time frame will be complete ridiculousness, because you just keep on pushing back and keeping holding yourself back from goals and keeping holding yourself back from actually achieving the goals you wish and dream and desire. Number 10 is, what is your step one, right? So after you identified, again, too, if you are getting help, get the help. If you aren't getting help, what's the time frame? You need to identify, regardless of whatever one you did, what is step number one? Clearly identify that. If you're working with somebody and you're paying someone to go get this solved, they will give you step number one. If you're not, you do this on your own, then you need to figure out what step number one is for you, as well as like what the timeline is to get this thing succeeding. And then the last step in step 11 is attack step one, right? But I went through this like whole, and I know that might seem very, very simple, but I think the majority of the reason why most barbers don't grow and scale their business is because they really don't clearly define the goal and the why, which is why I took a lot of fucking time around these two things overall. And when you can kind of go through this process, and I would highly recommend for you listening on podcasts or watching this on YouTube, like just go through this process on your own. And if you are, especially if you're stuck, because this could be the thing that actually gets the thing moving forward for yourself. Because whenever we work with a barber, this is one of the first things I always try to walk a barber through, of like, what the fuck is actually going on in this thing? Why do we need to get this thing going? What is the gap? And now here's our step one. And if you don't have a design plan like that, you are setting yourself up to fail at the very end of the day. Now, I know that was pretty lengthy. At the very end of the day, if you are a barber, like I said, who is interested in growing and scaling their business, my company, The New Era Barbering, has been helping barbers do this through our Elevated Mentorship program. Where we work with barbers for 6 months. We give you a dedicated one-on-one coach. We have about 6 live calls a week with me and my team for you to hop on, so we can work with you individually on those calls and really help you grow and scale and really develop the system inside your business to grow and scale. So if you're interested in working with us, I'll leave a link down below to book a call with my team, or you can at least check out what we do at the very end of the day. Also, if you're someone who just came across this stuff and you want to go ahead and look at more things that we've done, of course, you can check out, like, let's say our website, theneweraBarbering.com. We also, if you're watching this on YouTube, we also have a podcast called the No Bullshit Podcast with Deluxe, not only on Spotify, but also on Apple Podcasts. And for me, like, I like doing videos like this, or even audios like this, because I want to go a little bit more raw and like pause. I want to go a little bit more just like straight to the point, no bullshit, and just give you like a really well thought out business strategy. Because I think one of the biggest things that's missing in the barber industry is a well thought out business strategy. And it's why most barbers fail at growing and scaling their business. And I just transparently don't want you guys to be one of those, because I was one of those people, and it fucking sucks. It's frustrating, and you feel like a fucking loser at the end of the day. And I don't want any of you thinking or feeling like that. So again, too, if you're listening to this on YouTube, check out the podcast. If you're on podcast, feel free to check out on YouTube. And with that, I'll see you guys on the next video or podcast.